Hey, welcome back to Papa's Custom Cars. Today we tackled the firewall. I've got this nice block plate that we're going to put in place. I was going to weld it in, but I was thinking to myself, maybe I don't go with vintage air. It just depends on how it goes. Odds are I'm going to, but I need to get this heater box out of here inside and remove the wiring that's coming out for the fan and all that kind of fun stuff. And we're gonna replace it with this nice aluminum panel that I've got that I bought, and that'll go in its place and it'll make it real nice. I've also got these new bulkhead fittings that will replace the heater hoses and the AC lines once I've got the system all put in. But odds are I'm going to go with a vintage air, so I need to clean this up. Along with that, I need to pull the pin on that master cylinder, get it out of the way. I've got a nice new 9-inch, or it's a 8-inch, 7 or 8-inch, I can't remember, but it's a dual diaphragm. It's a smaller unit to go over there, and that'll clear a lot more room for the headers. Along with that, pull the rest of this wiring out of here and basically get this engine compartment ready for some paint. Mainly the firewall needs to be painted before I can go any further, because I need to get that engine back in. And I don't want to do that till I've got this all painted. Heater cores coming out, all that stuff is coming out. Like I said, I'm probably going to end up with a vintage air unit here, so I'm going to have to figure out a different way to do this panel if that's the case. But I will use the perimeter bolts for it while I've got it. So let's get to work on that this weekend, and hopefully we can get that stuff all taken out and start prepping this thing and getting it ready to scuff and paint this firewall. So let's get to work. So one of the first things every mechanic in the world will tell you is the worst place to work on anything is under the dashboard. Mainly because there's absolutely no room in there whatsoever. Right now I've got things stuck in here that need to come out, like this choke cable for the manual choke that we're no longer going to need. So we're going to go ahead and remove that, along with pulling the pin for the brake booster, so that we can get that out also. There's a whole bunch of cleanup that needs to be done up under here, so we're going to get to it here real quick. We'll hope that you get some decent camera. I can get some decent camera views for you, but let's get to it. So the first thing I need to do is get this choke cable out of the way. It is held in by a nut on the back, and you have to thread the whole cable through the whole system. We're not going to be running a manual choke anymore. We're going to be running fuel injection, so we are no longer going to need that where we're going. The issue with it is it's buried up in here and very hard to get to. Feels like it's either a 7/16 or half-inch wrench, so let's go grab some tools. Well, one of the nice things is I got this floor put in for the tractor, and it's a lot nicer than kneeling on concrete. So let's see what we can get up in here for a wrench. Because you can't see anything, you got to do it all by touch, which makes it really hard. Yeah, and I cannot get a wrench up there without not seeing anyway. These tiny little screws that hold everything together, dashboard wise, and then you've got some Phillips up at the top. There goes that one. So we got that. So as I was saying, we're going to have to go ahead and pull this out. Another reason we're doing it now is because it's in the way, and we need to get it out of there anyhow. So we'll go ahead and pull loose this dash so that we can get to the choke cable. We'll rip you through this as quick as we can. They sell kits online where you can buy every screw and nut that belongs to your dashboard or any other part of the car, which I've done with this one mainly because I don't want to end up without something I need. So let's take a look. See here. All right, that's all loose. And then we've got two, it was like 5/8 down there in the bottom. I think I have a 5/8. Oh, yeah, I might. So as you see, you can pull the cable out. And the bolt should fall to the floor. And there it is. So no more manual choke. We will hold on to the cable though, because you never know what project we'll have in the future. We are going to be using that carburetor on something else, so odds are I'll probably buy the kit to convert it to automatic, because most of these don't see summer, or only see outside in the summer, so you really don't have to worry about a choke anyway. At least none of the cars that I've ever built, I've never had one that I've ever had to put a choke in it or even pull the choke lever. It's just never been needed. So all right, let's take a look underneath and see what we've got holding that brake pedal to the booster. And then take a look, see under here to see what's holding that on the brake pedal. Oh. Looks like a little clip. Yep, it's a little clip. That holds the rod on that end. Wiring under here is a nightmare from the old alarm system. They just kind of hacked up a bunch of stuff when they put it in here, and I had to straighten it all out. But yeah, more wiring. You'll see that work later. So what we're after up in here is, look right there, there's that little clip, and that's holding the pedal assembly to the booster. Let me try to get a better view of it. So we're going to pull that clip off, and that should help us and get us where we need to be. Lock down the booster because it's moving, and it in turns moving the whole pedal assembly. A little bit more. Voila. So this is the pin that we were after, and it runs through the pedal to get to that. So that's done. next thing is going to be our heater box, but let's go ahead and pull that booster out of there right quick. So it's the next day here at the garage. We finished up yesterday. We got the brake booster pulled out. As you can see, we got the brake booster pulled out, and as you can see, there's a big old wire nest over there. That's what one of the reasons I needed to pull that out. Not only did I get a new master that's disc and or disc drum, I've got a smaller unit, and I've got to clean up this wiring because it is a nightmare. We've got all of our aftermarket gauges and that kind of thing. We ran a temporary harness so that we could run the car, but today we need to finish getting the heater box out. So we've already removed all of the bolts around the heater box, and back there behind the fender there was a few of them too. Looks like there might be a couple more still in there. Nope, that's just gunk on there. So we're going to finish pulling that out because we're not going to be using the factory heater box anymore. We're going to go with an aftermarket, probably a vintage air unit. They seem to have the most compact, best looking unit out there. So we'll remove all of this fun stuff. That way we can start also take care of this firewall, get it cleaned up, all these little holes and everything all over the place, welded up, and then paint it before we can put our engine in. We also have to do the chassis itself. It needs to be painted. It's all clean. Not so worried about the control arms, the upper and lowers. I've got new tubulars for that. But we definitely want to get the rest of this all cleaned up. So that's what we're going to tackle today, is getting the rest of this heater box out. And that way we can start attacking this firewall. So let's get to it. Okay, so like I said, we've got all of the bolts out of the unit in here. So now we've got to just pull this away from the firewall. There's some butyl tape on there. That's what holds it on, but we're going to pull this whole unit out. As you can see, it's all loose and everything. So let's get this thing pulled out so we can get to the wires and all the fun stuff. I'm going to try to have you in here enough where you can see everything, but it's hard to get a camera up in this area just because of the way it's all set up. So it should just pull off. There are some wires and some cables hooked to it that we're going to have to deal with, but one of the things I do need to do is remove the glove box door. Here's all the paperwork that I've had on it since it was new, or since I bought it, I should say. Everything's still in here. I've got a full book on everything that I've done to this car. Look, every time you went to a car show, you got a tire gauge. Never have enough tire gauges, right? Now we have a remote control for our Kenwood. So let's go ahead and get this all out of here. Old school fuses and the lock for the wheels. Definitely don't want to lose that. Let's put that in the toolbox, and I'll be right back. Let's take all this stuff over and get it out of the way. So on this, we're going to need to take these Phillips head screws out. That'll help us take this out. Then, of course, we're going to have to remove the bolts off of the bottom of the... So let's go grab some tools. That was my head. I know if you have to, you can actually remove this without pulling the glove box. But from what I've read and watched and everything, when you do that, it just makes life a lot easier. So we need to figure out what size screw we've got there. Now I purchased some of those moving blankets from Harbor Freight. They're really good for putting padding down underneath your knees, so that when you're crawling around, it helps. Little rubber buggy bumper that comes out with it. Pull that out of the car. We also need to remove the ashtray. Mechanism. No other screws over here. And you just push down and it flops right out. Like I said, they've got little metal clips in them that hold these screws in. So you want to keep them in a safe place. Either put them in the glove box for storage. Well, later I'll get a little baggie, and I'll put them in there. And that way they all stay together. Okay, back to the ashtray. As you can see, we've got to remove that wire right there, that plug in, and over here there's a wire. And then back behind there's another wire. So let's get these off first. We're going to need a long extension, and we'll go after that bolt. Off. It feels like there's still bolts on this side, so let's go find them. Got them all. I don't see any of them left. And nothing over there. I wonder. Curiosity. Yeah, it feels too solid. Let me go get my. There she goes. Voila. Okay, and there's The second cable, actually located over on this side, or is there a mount? Let's take a look, see. Okay, we've got our cable running along here, so there's another retainer over here on this side, so we've got to pull that off. And then that should let go of those. There's two cables there, actually. Looks like one more cable, and it's got a funky clip on it. Let's see here in a sec. Since I get it away from me, got one of those clips like a carburetor has. Two main cables that take care of everything, and that's pretty much all of it. There's your door for your defroster. So that gets that out of our way. So as you can see now, we've got all this room up in here for the new stuff. So that'll take care of that. Today is Super Bowl Sunday, so I'm going to finish taking all this out, putting my tools away, shutting all my lights off, and I'll see you next week where we attack the firewall. So that's about all we're going to do for this weekend. Not a lot done. Just want to get this Nova firewall all ready to go. We'll start tangling with those wires and getting those cleaned up. That's about the only thing left except the throttle cable on there. We'll get that all off. That's relatively easy to push back inside the firewall, and then to go through and pretty much seal up all the holes that are there and basically get this firewall ready for paint. I can't really install the engine until I've got it all cleaned up and painted, so we want to definitely do that. Also have a new set of headers coming, turbo headers that put the turbos up on the side of the motor as opposed to in front of the motor. So I'll be curious to get that all mocked up, but I can't get any mocked up until I get this engine in the car, and then I can start doing the mock-up game. So with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a day because it is Super Bowl Sunday, and I want to see the game. So definitely I'll look forward to seeing you guys all next week, or I should say next weekend, where we're going to start hopefully attacking the firewall of the car a lot more and getting it pretty much prepped and ready for paint. The garage is warm enough now with the auxiliary heater where we can paint, so that's definitely going to help us. So make sure you take the time to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment or two, anything you want to hear, see, that type of thing. Someone asked me about the alarm system on the car, and there's absolutely no markings on these alarm boxes at all, and I bought them probably 10 years ago. Got to remember that the parts that I've been gathering for this car, I've been gathering them for years because as a parent, your kids kind of take a priority over your car, so you can't really spend a ton of money. So you buy a little bit of stuff here and there and all over the place. I've accumulated a lot of parts that I need to get on this car. Main one starting with the engine and getting the engine in so that we can start mocking up everything and getting this car painted, because it's been over 10 years now that we haven't had paint on this car. So definitely, everybody, if you do me a big favor, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next week.